Welcome to the Steering Change Podcast, navigating through the commercial transportation industry in Alberta and beyond, powered by the Alberta Motor Transport Association. Here's your host, Kelsey Hipkin.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Steering Change. As we record this, the temperature in Calgary, Alberta is 23 degrees Celsius. The city is greener than usual at this time of year with all the rain we've been having, and folks are getting outdoors as often as they can. What we are likely not thinking about right now is winter. Snow, ice, and bitter cold is headed our way once again, but what does that mean for driving habits? An article from the Weather Network cited weather-related factors contributing to 20% of fatal collisions in Canada between 2018 and 2022, and some older statistics from RCMP's site. In 2017, nearly 30% of collisions reported to the National Collision Database happened on wet, snowy, or icy roads. One-third happened in January, February, November, and December. December had the second highest number of total collisions in 2017 with 26,824 incidents. Of those, more than 14,000 resulted in at least one injury. And single vehicle collisions were most common in the early winter with November, December, and October ranking in the top three in 2017. To delve more into the approaching winter driving season, we're joined by Senior Instructor Driver Development and the voice of AMTA, Rob Destree. Rob, thank you for joining us once again.
Oh, good morning to you, Kelsey, and I'm happy to be on another podcast.
Stoked, I bet.
Stoked.
Can you please start by telling us a bit about yourself and your background in industry?
I've been a licensed driving instructor in the province for just over 35 years now. I worked with novices, then went into oil and gas, developed a couple of different courses for oil and gas companies where we focused a lot on the defensive side, but also we did the skid control, ditch entries. We did a bunch of track maneuvers, and then we replicate that now that I've been here for 6.5 years. I try to replicate that stuff as best I can in our simulators.
And can we touch on the simulator just for one sec, Rob? You drive that bad boy all around Alberta, teaching people with different courses, right?
I do, yeah. We have many, many different scenarios depending on what people want. Like we'll get a lot of people coming in from the United Kingdom, for example, that have been hired by a local company, and I'll put them through skid control, for example, in the sim. We do with it what we can't do in real world. So it's as close to having a track as I can get without actually spending millions of dollars on a track.
Awesome. So, as you're aware, we're in the midst of a hot, albeit rainy summer here in Alberta, and the last thing people might want to be thinking about is winter. As the cold season does get closer and closer, what should folks start to think about when it comes to winter prep for their vehicles?
So basically the big thing, if you want to start right from scratch, is your vehicle prepared, right? So are your tires, people will swap over from their all-season tires to their winter tires, albeit it's a lot of times too late. Like once this first snowfall hits, they're all flocking to the tire shops, and they're trying to get the stuff swapped the last minute. If you can, October-ish probably is a good time to do it. If you can do it at home, great. If you've got the storage space. Winter tires do wear out a bit quicker on dry pavement, but not getting caught off guard, especially if you go to the mountains a lot, because again, in October, we could be 15 degrees here, but you get to the hills, especially around the field area, and there's 6 inches of snow on the road.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of tires, I don't want to say settle the debate, but can you talk to us about all seasons versus winter tires?
Yeah, all season tires are often referred to as 3-season tires by tire people because they're not really a good choice in the wintertime. They harden up usually around 7 degrees, so they don't conform to the snow-covered roads or the icy bits as well. It's kind of like wearing a leather dress shoe on snow, right? It's fine on bare pavement, and it might be okay in some snow, but you get on some ice, and that leather dress shoe gives you nothing. So there's a newer tire in the middle of that called an all-weather tire, which is a bit of a hybridization between an all-season and a pure winter. So they have a lot of the wear characteristics and handling characteristics of a all-season tire, but with the better grip afforded by a winter tire. Still not quite as good as a pure winter tire, right, in terms of traction on ice. But again, if you've got, you live downtown, work downtown, you do some road trips out to the mountains, they're probably a pretty good compromise for you, right? Because you can run them all year long. You're not going to be really caught off guard in the wintertime. and you don't have to store another set of winter tires, etc.
Okay, so it's October. I've got my tires switched over. What else should I be doing to prep my vehicle?
Fluids, belts, hoses, the normal thing. If your battery is struggling to start your car in the summertime, it's not going to work in the wintertime. You have had that happen? Or
I have had that happen.
yeah. So if it's going or at this time of year, it's going to go click, click, click in the wintertime, and you'll be done. So battery health is a big one. But yeah, belts, hoses, coolant level, not only so with coolant level, coolant strength as well, right? Because if someone's just been adding like water to their coolant, it's going to throw off that freezing point. So, you can get it tested.
Oh, interesting. And speaking of coolant, for your windshield washer fluid, should I just use whatever's in the garage, or am I going with the stuff specifically for cold weather?
That's a great question. In this province, because of the extreme colds, go with the lowest rating you can usually find. I'm a big fan of a certain product that I won't mention their name of, but that has a de-icer in it as well. So when you do start getting that stuff that's starting to cake up on the wiper blades or along the edges, you can hit the washer fluid and it will help get rid of some of it. But please, for the love of everything that's sacred in winter driving, don't use your washer fluid to scrape your windows clean, right? The people that are running them on high and, they've got that patch the size of a credit card in front of them as the defroster.
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't, yeah. And none of us have ever done that. But yeah, scrape your windows clean. Don't try to use your washer fluid to do the job of a scraper. But yeah, the colder, the better.
Okay, great. So I've got my tubes, my washers, my tires all taken care of. Winter hits. It's a snowy morning. I'm getting ready to go to work. I have properly scraped my windshields. What else should I be doing for a potential pre-trip?
Well, the big thing is, let's go right to the beginning. Do you even need to be out? Right? That's one of the most important questions is this trip necessary at all? Right? And again, I know that, we've gone from our work from home, people are being pulled back into the office or have been pulled back into the office. But if you're going to Red Deer or Edmonton or Grand Prairie for some reason, if it's not absolutely life or death, does it need to be done right now? Because we know that in this end of the province anyways, you can start off at 9 o'clock in the morning, it's minus 20 and you can't see 4 feet in front of you because of the snow. And then by noon, the sun's up and we've gone up to 4 degrees and things are starting to melt. So can you delay the trip? Is the trip even necessary? Now, that being said, make sure your windshields are all clear and free of snow, frost, that kind of stuff. Plus also the grime that we get from splashing up off the road. Clean your headlights, right? Even just having a roll of paper towels and your jug of washer fluid, you can scrape off that coating of goo that's built up on your headlights. Because again, you need to stand out from the background better because, it's bright and white and your vehicles are blending in.
So I am notorious for driving on that last quarter tank of fuel.
Yeah.
I'm a last minute filler upper, but in the winter I should probably be keeping that as full as possible.
No less than half ideally, because there's a few reasons. If you have underground parking or heated parking, the condensation that's remaining inside the fuel tank can actually freeze. So when you come out of the indoor warm area and you go outside, that can start to freeze up. You get more traction, right? Because again, gasoline weighs 6.7-ish pounds, I think, per gallon.
Oh.
I hate using the gallon thing,
Fun fact.
I mean, yeah. So there's weight there too, especially if you're driving a pickup truck and you've got a massive 140, 150 liter tank. Fill that thing up, better traction. But also, you never know if you're going to have to sit there on the side of a highway somewhere. I mean, I had to sleep on the highway outside Canmore one time because they shut the road down. And we were there from about 10 o'clock at night till 6:30 the next morning. So if you've got enough fuel, you can stay warm in the vehicle. But
yeah,
there's a whole other side of carbon monoxide to that we can get to in a bit if you want.
Let's touch on that right now.
Okay, yeah, so if you do have to run your engine to stay warm, ideally have your exhaust pipe downwind as much as possible. Crack the front windows open a little bit to get some fresh air in there. Because, cars, exhaust pipes leak. They're not completely sealed. So if you're wedged down in the snowbank at the bottom of a ditch waiting, that's not the best time to be running the engine, because if that whole exhaust area is closed off by snow, that carbon monoxide is going to go somewhere, and usually it'll migrate up through into the interior of the car. and it's silent, it's odorless, it's colorless, it's tasteless. You just get super sleepy, and then
The
you're
silent
done.
killer.
It has happened. I mean, there's
Yeah.
people have died while idling a vehicle on a highway.
Okay.
It's less likely, but yeah.
Yeah.
Point that to exhaust pipe downwind, etc.
So, Rob, you mentioned that you have had to spend the night in the car
Mm-hmm.
during a storm. The road was closed before. If our listeners are in that sort of situation, what sort of items should they have in the car to be prepared for something like that?
So ideally, you have a winter kit with you.
Mhm.
At the very least, wool blankets are ideal because wool will retain its thermal capacity even when wet.
Mhm.
So it'll retain like 80-85% of its ability to stay warm. Gloves, toque, scarf, boots, even if you're not going to wear your winter boots, because I mean, I have a nice pair of Columbia boots that are quite warm-ish, but they're not fun to drive in,
Mhm.
right? So even if you have them in the back seat, if you get your big Sorels back there, right, at least have them with you. High protein snacks, ideally, some beef jerky or nut alternatives if you're cashews, almonds, those kinds of things.
Mhm.
Avoid the chocolate bars as tasty as they are. You'll get that spike of energy, and then you'll be drained later on. Water, usually 1 to 2 liters per person per day. Now, it's a bit different if you're traveling the Trans-Canada Highway and you've got to wait. I mean, oftentimes you can find somewhere to go. But if you're up in the frozen north, right, you're going between Edmonton, say, and Grand Prairie, and there's desolate stretches of that highway. So
Mhm.
are you prepared to spend 3, 4, 5 hours in a vehicle?
Yeah.
Right. So shovel is super handy. A proper scraper. Don't be out there with your credit card trying to clean your glass.
The old CD case trick?
Also, I assume you've done that too. But yeah, if you really want to go crazy, traction aids can be handy.
Mhm.
At the very least, kitty litter, the non-clumping kind, because the clumping kind turns to clay when it gets wet. But you can get traction mats, which I've seen a bit hit or miss. But kitty litter, I carry tow ropes, but if you're not versed in using them, you
Mhm.
probably shouldn't just throw them in there. And then the first time somebody gets stuck, you go bananas and end up breaking things, or worse, launching a tow hook through someone's windshield, because that has killed people in the past too.
Yikes.
So if
Okay.
you're not familiar with the procedures for towing, I mean, even a shovel, I've gotten people out with just a shovel and a little push.
Yeah.
Right? So
What about candles?
candles are great. The emergency candles, the long, slow-burning ones with either waterproof matches or a lighter, and a tin or something to hold them in.
Mhm.
Because if you're appropriately dressed with a blanket, that little bit of light, it's not going to throw off a whole lot of heat, but at least it gives you something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and in terms of light as well, flashlights are great, because my favorite is seeing people trying to dig out a snow thing with their iPhone, or they're trying to do stuff with
Yeah.
that, which is kind of pointless. Headlights are great. The ones with the band you put on your head, fantastic device. If you ever have a change of tire, they're outstanding for that. But you can buy flashlights that will also do like strobe effects too. So if you're broken
Mhm.
down the side of the highway,
Ah,
it'll flash SOS or whatever for you.
yeah.
Mag lights are good for that.
Awesome. So, just speaking of snowy roads, if I am the motoring public, I commute to the office on the regular. Are there specific steps that I should take or things that I should be aware of when I'm sharing a snowy road with a commercial vehicle?
Well, they're throwing up a ton of snow. So if you're following behind, you're almost invisible to them.
Mhm.
So yourself into a position where you're visible, at least in their mirrors. And again, having the lights on helps dramatically, because you'll stand out from that snowy, drifty background better. Give them plenty of room. Tractor trailers do not stop well at the best of times. Throw them on ice and snow, and with a lot of weight. You don't want to, suddenly cut in front of one and have to brake, because you will not win that battle. Just give them the ability and the room to do what they need to do.
And speaking of braking, I have done a couple driving lessons with you. If you are in snowy conditions, you maybe feel yourself starting to slip. Can you kind of talk about like line of sight, some tips for that?
So At the end of the day, what gives you the best control is where your eyes are looking.
Mhm.
So if you want to steer around something, like if you're braking and you can feel your ABS kicking in and you want to go around something, don't look at that something. Look where you want to put your vehicle. That's a big thing. Um, Everybody pretty much has ABS now, unless you're driving something that's super old. And the problem is that we start to sort of rely on that, going, oh, yeah, I've got anti-lock brakes. They don't stop you quicker.
Mhm.
In a lot of cases, they actually will extend your stopping distance, especially on things like mud, gravel, or deep snow. So don't ever get lulled into that false sense of security that you're going to stop quicker. It gives you a measure of braking and a measure of steering. It's a compromise. So use that, what you've got, to steer around it. Now, if you're steering and the vehicle isn't responding, you can feel the ABS cycling. And I know a lot of people that are listening or watching this podcast have probably experienced that, where they feel the ABS pulsing away and they think,
Mhm.
this isn't steering. Just back off the brakes a tiny little bit, like 5, maybe 10%, until that cycling slows a bit and your wheels start to roll. You'll get a bit better steering that way. But the other thing is you'll also take some of the weight off the front end and plant the back end down a bit, which is really important if you're driving like tall, short wheelbase vehicles like sport utility vehicles.
Mhm.
But yeah, never get into that false sense of security that your traction controls and your ABS and your all that stuff is going to save your bacon. Drive to conditions.
And speaking of driving to conditions, snowplows. We're going to start seeing those out on the road. We've talked about kind of respecting commercial vehicles. They can't necessarily see us because of their snow clouds. What does that mean when it comes to passing or approaching a snowplow on the road?
This would be a great place to segue into the thing we did with Volker Stevin, wouldn't it?
It would be a great place. Why don't you tell people
If only
about...
we had videos about this. So we done a little thing with Volker Stevin, and I ran a plow for a season. So the big thing that you have to understand with the snow plow is it's moving slower than the majority of highway traffic. They're going to be limited to 50 or 60K, even on Deerfoot, Stony, Highway 2. They're not going to be going that quick. They're generating a giant snow cloud as they push snow. So if you're driving along the highway and you're like, wow, there's a giant snow cloud moving along in front of me, I wonder what's inside that snow cloud. It's probably a snowplow. So with the advent of the blue and yellow lights, I find it makes them a bit easier to see.
Mm-hmm.
Some companies are still running just the yellow or the amber and red. But again, if they're plowing the left lane and they're pushing stuff, be careful. Don't pass it on that side. When I was running plow, I was passed on the left shoulder as I was pushing stuff into the median. And the guy complained that I cracked his window. I'm like, don't pass me on the shoulder and the median side, and it won't be a problem. It's just people behave weirdly around snow plows. Like they're trying to clear the road for people, so give them, again, the time and space to do their job, right? They may pull off randomly to let you go by. They may have to touch up an intersection, so they may come up to it, drop some sand, again, stay back, give them the room to drop the sand. It's another thing too, if they are sanding, that sand goes everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they could be dumping a couple 100 kilos of sand every kilometer, give them room for that sand to do its job, right?
And as Rob alluded to, we have done both a YouTube video with our friends at Volker Stevin and have an episode with Warren Stasiuk at Volker Stevin covering kind of extensively what snowplows do, snowplow safety, sharing the road, all those sorts of things. You mentioned you have done a season as a snowplow driver. We know and can probably share some stats in the show notes just so everyone is aware. Both near misses and hits. Can you talk a little bit about, I know you've covered it, like don't drive into a cloud, don't drive around the median, but have you ever had any of those sorts of experiences?
Well, like I said, someone passed me on the left-hand side while I was trying to plow into the left-hand median. I've had people just stop in the middle of Stony Trail while I'm trying to plow. I have no idea why you're stopped in the middle of 5 lanes, but all right. They'll try to pass you at the most inopportune times, like at an intersection. I'm trying to push the snow. I had a guy try to come by me on the right-hand side while I'm trying to push to the right side as well. And I probably launched 100 pounds of snow onto his hood and windshield. So it's like, if the blade's down and pushing that direction, don't go by it on that side. The other thing too is if the plow is running a wing blade, so a lot of the plows on Stony Trail and whatnot will have a right wing. Every once in a while, you'll see a left wing equipped plow, but there's strobe lights out on that end of that wing, but they're very hard to see through that cloud of snow. And Volker will attest to this as well. they've got a lot of pictures of people who have piled up onto that right-hand wing, trying to go by them on the right-hand shoulder, right? So again, back off, hold out. They're probably going to pull over in a little while to let you go by anyways. Is the 2, 3, or 4 minutes you're going to save by taking that risk worth it? And in a lot of cases, no.
Exactly. And like you had said earlier, should I be traveling today at all?
Yeah. Is the trip even necessary? Like that's at the end of the day, can you delay it a couple hours, right? Like I go to Kelowna a lot, and sometimes I leave it like dark 30 kind of thing, right? Like I like getting on the highway at 3, 4 in the morning when no one's around, except in the winter, right? Because again, I can get out there at 4 o'clock in the morning and there'll be hardly any traffic, but also there's probably a lot more snow because they still haven't gotten to everything. Or if you do have an issue and you're stranded, there might not be another passing motorist for a long, long time. So it's a time and a place to, daylight's a lot better for some things, but.
Yeah, we definitely encourage you guys to show some patience, be safe out there. Rob, are there different resources would you recommend, like the Alberta 511s out there for people to check road conditions ahead of time?
Yeah, pretty much every province has one. There's Drive BC, Alberta 511. I believe Saskatchewan's is 511 as well.
Could not confirm or deny.
Yeah, I can't remember for sure. But again, if I'm going into BC, check Alberta 511. You can see the rating of the road out to the mountains. You can see the roads. You can go check Drive BC's weather cameras. Also, you can find out when they're doing the avalanche control in Rogers Pass, for example. Because again, if you're like, it's going to be closed from noon till 2, and you're going to arrive there at noon, well, okay, you haven't done yourself any favor, right? So either delay or go a bit earlier so you're through there ahead of time, right? That information's all out there. There's no real reason anymore for you like, I was caught by surprise. Like I've got an alert today. It's going to be a heat wave. Well, it's 24 degrees, but. Right.
It's coming,
yeah.
So, Rob, thank you for sharing your time and knowledge with us today. Is there anything you would like to add in the realm of winter driving?
Just, again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we can address them either. I'm going to steal a bit of Kelsey's thunder. Actually, I'll let Kelsey do the thunder. Yeah, just go ahead, Kelsey. Sorry.
I will say, I'm going to add that at the end, friends, but I will say in the meantime, AMTA will be doing a winter driving campaign for the fourth quarter of the year. We're going to be sharing bulletins. This podcast will be included. We'll be doing some direct messaging and social media just so that you guys have an idea of different resources that you can access for winter driving and safety through AMTA. So stay tuned for that one. Rob, final thank you. Always appreciate it when you're able to sit across from us.
It's great being on this side of the producers table every once in a while. We should probably get Robin out here too.
Right. That means it's Robin's turn soon.
Yeah,
we know
Robin's
that she
turn
loves
soon.
getting in front of the camera. I'm going to close up with some AMTA news. What is going on right now? Tickets for the 2025 Edmonton Drawdown Dinner are selling fast. If you're interested in joining us, please visit the events page on amta.ca. And if you're interested in sponsorship, please reach out to events@amta.ca. Are you interested in learning more about industry? Literally, consider training with AMTA. We offer hundreds of courses and resources that will set you up for success, including our Certified Transportation Safety Coordinator course. For full details and our course calendar, please visit amta.ca. Do you have any questions or comments about the Steering Change episodes, particularly today's? Reach out on our Instagram at AMTA_CA or LinkedIn and Facebook at Alberta Motor Transport Association. Stay safe and see you next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of AMTA's Steering Change podcast. The views expressed by guests of the Steering Change podcast are their own and may not reflect the views of AMTA, its hosts, or sponsors. Did you have a question that you would like answered on an upcoming episode of the Steering Change podcast? We want to hear from you. To submit a question to the Steering Change mailbag, hit up our DMs on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram with the hashtag Steering Change, and your question will be answered either live on the podcast or by one of our SMEs here at AMTA. We ask that you share this episode with those in your network that could benefit from what we discussed today, and make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform so you can be notified when future episodes are released. You can learn more about us and our mission by visiting www.amta.ca. Now get out there and have a safe day.